How do you know when you are out of the messy middle? I'm mostly curious about your answer on this, Brian. Do you think you're out of the messy middle yet?
Yeah, I am.
No idea. Can't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Brian, you know what? That is a great question because the messy middle, this is how, first of all, let's talk about how we define the messy middle. The messy middle is the time in your life where you find that you have so many different commitments and so many different things pulling you in so many different directions that you have this intersection of no discretionary time. Your time is completely gone. And also, because of all these different commitments, you have no discretionary money. So you are low on time and low on money. You're being pulled in a million different directions. For most people, this happens somewhere around their late 20s, early 30s. That's not to say that it can't happen for you later, but when does it end? How do you know that you're on the other side of the message?
Yeah, I've always tried to be very transparent on this because I feel like so much in social media world is everybody's giving you their highlight reel and making their life look as good as it possibly can. And that's just not the reality. I mean, there's a reason we've coined the messy middle where you're short on time, you're short on money, and you just feel like the world's working against you. And even with the world working against you, you have to take just a little bit of discipline to put something for the future just because the value of what it becomes with those small incremental decisions is too much to ignore and neglect. But so here I am already working counterculture because everybody on social media is telling you how easy life is. And then here we are saying, no, you need to embrace this messy middle. I love this question. And I can tell you specifically, this is why you need to be doing exercises like the annual net worth statement. If you go to learn.moneyguy.com, you can check that out. We have a great tool. We even have moneyguy.com/resources. We have a free template. Is because what I like about the annual tradition of doing these things is that I use it as I reflect upon what happened in the last year. And I even use the tool to then communicate with my wife, and we kind of have a state of the union for our financial household. And I can remember specifically, it was there 42, 43-ish. I know specifically that's 2 years, but it was 42, 43. And I remember thinking, this is the first year I don't feel like I'm behind. And I say that for two reasons. It's I think a lot of people look at my life now and they go, man, his life was easy. Or, they don't see, nobody, when you reach success, do they see the struggles? They just assume, the guy, good for him, or he sucks. I bet he had a leg up somewhere. Yep. They never see the struggle. And so that's why I think for people to hear that it wasn't until I was 43 years of age that I felt like the cloud of all the struggles of, the kids, of the discipline of having to save for the future, it didn't go away until I was in my early 40s. But then I remember looking at my net worth statement, looking at my savings goals, thinking about the kids and what all my responsibilities. And I was like, no, this was a good year. And I felt like I came out on the other side. So that's how it went for me. And I think that's why you've got to create some strategies and use some tools so that you have some accounting to kind of know where you are in your journey and kind of ask yourself, hey, how did time feel last year? How did my money feel last year? And wow, we made some really big progress, both as a family, both financially, as well as, making sure we're getting memories and maximizing each decade that we're on this world.
I think another thing that's just important to mention, because we get some flack on this in the comments, no one's messy middle is exactly the same. Just because your messy middle looks different than someone else's messy middle does not mean that you're not in the messy middle. I mean, it's not you might have a great income and you've got the financial piece kind of figured out, but because you have young kids and a bunch of commitments and time is just you may be in the messy middle, even though maybe financially you're not having the exact same struggles as someone else. Or maybe you don't have all the family commitments yet. You don't have all the other stuff going on, but man, just trying to get your dollars to do what you need them to do with all the different stuff pulling you in all kinds of different directions, you may very well be in the messy middle. So be careful letting someone else define, oh, my situation's worse than yours, or I've got it worse, or you're not dealing with this. Just like personal finance is personal, messy middle is personal. I love that you said, Brian, you were able to come out of it because your kids were still relatively young. I mean, they weren't like baby kids, but they weren't out of the house at that point. But you did start to have some relaxation, some deep breaths, hey, life is not quite as hard right now as it was the past year, the past 2 years, the past 3
Yeah,
years.
I mean, just to give perspective on that, I'm doing this really quick. Mental accounting and public accounting, which is always scary. Yeah, you'd written 12
and 6.
12 and 6 years of age. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, they can feed themselves. You're not changing diapers.
Kinda on the other
You
side
right
of it.
now, you're sitting here thinking
I'm
about
thinking,
when my third
when do
child
I get
is
there?
6 years old. Man, my life is going to be so much. I bet it feels because what's so interesting on how I think us humans are designed is we are wired that when that baby can start feeding itself, start going to the restroom, and then it starts talking to you and hugging you. And telling you, all of a sudden, it's like you forgot how
bad
hard
it
the
was.
first
That's
18
right.
months were. And I think we're designed that way.
Yep.
Yes, you're going to have to selflessly take care of this bundle of joy because they won't survive on their own. And then we have been designed in a way that when they get to be about 3 years of age or even 2.5, and they start showing some love to you, like, maybe it wasn't so bad. Let's do it again.
Man, can I tell just a quick funny aside that happened yesterday?
Of course.
My kids like eating frozen blueberries. I don't know why. It's just a thing. Like bag of frozen
They're good.
blueberries. And so my wife, the other day, I have a little boy. He's about to be 2 years old. And he was sitting in the high chair. And my wife just gives him just a bowl of frozen blueberries. So what do you think happened?
It sounds like these turned into weapons or something.
No, he's just covered head to toe. Like he's like here to here, blueberry, everybody. And I don't deal with messes. It's not my thing. I don't like messy fingers.
Oh, you deal with them. You just don't like them.
And so I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, that's gross. Like that's pretty rough, dude. This looks like a crime scene. I mean, just blueberry goo all over him. And you know what he did? He looked at me and he goes, Dad. And I'm like, come here, son, right? Like you're exactly right. That's exactly the way that it happens.
So we bringing a fourth one to the world?
We out. We out.
So maybe there are limits.